Additional thing on Panasonic stand on InstallerSHOW, what I want to highlight is Panasonic technology. So usually you must work with different manufacturers because it's hard to have everything in-house, but Panasonic managed to get most of the things, especially main parts of technology, in-house. We are here in front of compressor R290, which is Panasonic-made. Nathan, Panasonic is doing compressors for many years, so this one is also the same.
Yeah, exactly that. I think the key thing when you start looking at an air source heat pump is about the components inside. So we can make and produce our own components. What that means is when we're actually designing a unit, all these components are designed to work together. So we're able to get a high performance out of them. But what it also enables us to do is to keep a low price point. High efficient, low price point, because no one's taking a cut off. I'm having to buy this here, I'm having to buy that there. So you get a very high efficiency unit at a very affordable cost.
Here we have, this is twin rotary compressor. You can see here 2 pipes, twin rotary. What is your feedback? Everyone is talking about R290, but this is monoblock. Everything is inside. Yeah. I assume not so many claims from the side from refrigerant point of view.
So no, so even on this side, but you are right. The compressors always get great feedback. They always have done. The efficiencies on there are phenomenal. And you are right, we've got the R290 refrigerant inside, so we need to take a few extra things into account from that safety point of view. So we need to put some electrics in to make sure that in the cases so nothing can seal. So they are fully sealed, so nothing can leak if anything does happen from that side of it. So we all have them come in. But yeah, all the feedback we've had so far has been very positive, which is always great to hear. And yeah.
Additional thing for installers and for service guys is if you have everything in-house, if you have some problem, let's say from software perspective or whatever, it's easily managed. If you have third-party supplier, you are waiting of someone else's will. So my experience also from Panasonic that tech support from R&D point from headquarters is quite good. Also, what I want to highlight now, it's Tado. This is like partnership from Panasonic. Maybe not so much people knows about this. Yeah. What can you tell about Tado and control what you have with this kind?
So when we start looking at third-party thermostats, when we start connecting to an air source heat pump, you do get an on-off switch. So that basically means when it's calling for heat, it turns it on. When it's not, it turns it off, which isn't great for heat pumps, both for performance and the life cycle of the unit. So we partnered up with Tado to provide a solution where we do have the standard thermostat, which will just be installed on the wall. Very easy to control, up and down. So we don't need to worry about anyone getting to any settings they shouldn't be in. And then what we also have is this. This is what we call the heat pump optimizer. So this plugs directly into the heat pump. So rather than just switching the heat pump on and off, we can start changing the water temperatures of the unit. So it starts being able to modulate that unit a little bit more. So it's actually going, rather than on off, you're getting the efficiency that you would have done with our Panasonic own control, but with a third-party thermostat.
So you want to say that this is like you have Panasonic thermostat, like controlling, and what is also, can you control, let's say, tariffs, or kind of, let's say, smart control with this one?
Yeah, exactly that. So when you look at what Tado can do as a whole ecosystem, we can start putting tariff data in. So we can start seeing how much it costs at certain times of day, which it can learn and then optimize the solutions from there. But not just on heat pumps. If you've got solar integration, you've got an EV charger, you can have all of that on one app. So it's working together. And you can even get window sensors that you can put on. So if windows are open, it might be doing, let's say, you might be having the heating on. It will automatically turn the heating off because all that heat's going to be going out the window. So there's so many different installations that you can put this in and applications where it's going to start saving energy and money off the offset there.
So when we are talking about Tado, what I can see, Panasonic is also probably going in direction to have software inside, because components are components, but software is what is controlling. If you are end user, you don't want different things. How are you controlling this? You have Aquarea Smart Cloud, and probably you can also connect this to the app and have everything inside of the, let's say, Panasonic cloud.
So how we are doing it is we've actually built it into the Tado app. So you just download the Tado app, and then from there, you get access to the heat pump. You can see the data, you can set your schedules if you do want to schedule up from that. And that's when you connect all your additional smart products you are doing it from. So we've actually integrated it into the Tado app and built that as a platform around there.
Excellent. Now we will also show something different, which is insulation, which is also important for domestic hot water. So here we are in front of insulation panel. And also something unique from Panasonic. Nathan, we have here different insulations and no insulations. In Panasonic domestic hot water tank, you have this one. What is the main advantage of this one?
So when we look at this is what we call U-Vacua. So when you do have a cylinder, there's a few different ways that we can start putting insulation around it. First of all, we can have basically a cylinder without any insulation. So looking at the example here, we're reading 41.5 degrees. Then what tends to happen is you do put your polystyrene foam round, which is a standard insulation to go around a cylinder. From here, we can see it's taken the 41 down to 27, so it does work. But what we tend to find is, the more you put on, how thick the cylinder gets. So you can start struggling to install it. So what Panasonic developed was technology called U-Vacua, which is this. So straight away, looking from 41, we're now down to 22. So we're decreasing the heat loss from there already. But even from this technology, we've been able to use it on, for example, NASA. NASA use it in the spacecraft because it just does not lose that heat. And for such small amount of space, so rather than here, if you can just see it, that's how thick it is. So we can have more of a, let's say, a slimline cylinder, so it's going to fit in a cylinder cupboard without having to worry about a big cylinder fitting it in and all them kind of bits. So it hardly loses any of the heat with such a small footprint. So
I think this is especially important if you have cylinder, I don't know, in garage or some unheated space, where you probably have here in the UK. On which models you have U-Vacua?
So it does come in a range. So the big example is the all-in-one. So if you do look at the all-in-one cylinders that we have available, we've got the U-Vacua installed on there. And hence, why the all-in-one, it's got a 160 footprint. So it's designed to sit into that kitchen cupboard space. And that's thanks to that U-Vacua technology.
Excellent. Thanks. Thank you, Nathan, for explanation of all of these technologies.